So this is a demo of VibeCheck. Essentially how it works is it will watch Claude Code and its attempts to edit files in your project, and it will compare it to a competence model that just tracks your proficiency level in different programming concept areas, and it will make a determination using a knowledge gate, given a bunch of context about the edits it's trying to make and the surrounding code. It will make a determination if that change that Claude Code is making is above or below your skill level. If it's above your skill level, it's going to block the change from occurring and force you to do a Q&A before the change goes through. And if it determines that it is below like your skill level, if you're at a high enough competence level to do the changes, it will just let them through like normal. So we're going to start the demo, just do a little setup. And essentially what this is going to do is I have an open router API key. So this is just going to run the VibeCheck authorization command, which with the from environment flag. So that just grabs it from the environment variable and puts it in a TOML. And then this setup is going to initialize the competence model as very high competence. So it's very likely to let most of any changes through. So for the next step, we're going to run this test, and essentially what it's going to do is it's going to create a JSON payload, which is equivalent to what Claude Code would generate when it does a pre-tool use. So it's going to run it, and we're going to see that the payload is going to be saved. And yeah, okay, we can scroll through this. So here's the pre-tool use, and then the permission decision was allowed. So basically what it's saying is that it ran through our system here, and this was it decided to allow the change to go through. And it gives a reason here, so it allows the change to go through because it aligns with the high competence level and the relevant programming concepts. And then it just kind of gives you the competence model here. And as you go through it, it will make as you code with VibeCheck, it will append notes and adjust the scores depending on how you do in the during the actual assessment when a change is blocked. So the next step here is we're going to just do this cleanup step. And then, so essentially this is going to just initialize it back to a very low competence level. So this is more likely to block changes because you're not at a sufficient competence level. So we can try that. So we're going to see what it does here. So because the actual decision gate is, let's see what it did here. Okay, yeah, so as you can see, it actually did block the change, and then it will prompt you to answer them in the terminal, and then we ran into some kind of issue here. But essentially what it would do is it would ask you some questions in your terminal, either through like it could be through the TUI, and then there's also a potential step where, depending on it makes a particularly difficult kind of problem, like one where it has you do a fill in the blank question, and it could spawn a web GUI using Gradio. So, and then yeah, so that's pretty much it. So right now the Claude Code hook is inconsistent at times. So although under the hood it does actually come up with a determination to block changes, usually what ends up happening is it might error out within the Claude Code hook. So then it allows the changes to go through. So to kind of demonstrate some of the features we're still working on. Calculator. So we're going to remove this calculator program and create a new one. So then we are going to do run, and then we're going to do help to see what the options are. So yeah, it gives you the ability to authorize, configure Open Router API key, initialize your competence model, and also the Claude Code integration. So if you run like a UV run VibeCheck see init, essentially what it'll do is it essentially will kind of register a hook here that will match edit, write, or multi-edit events, and then the entry, it will point it to the entry point to the actual system where it handles the pre-tool use and runs everything through the knowledge check and eventually through the question and answer loop. So let's move. So this is just showing, so when it's actually running through Claude Code and it kind of generates some state when you are some intermediate state. So this is like an example of a proposal. So essentially this is what's going to be fed into the question and answer generator. And then, so if you, for instance, if you fail the competence knowledge gate, it's going to generate this, and then it'll use this info along with surrounding context. So state back. So it will aggregate context along with the proposal, and it feeds this into the question answer loop generation logic to actually test the questions here. So